The foundation of a great inventory acquisition strategy all starts with data. Without a solid data file, it doesn't matter how good your marketing campaigns are if they're not hitting the right target. That's why we spend a significant amount of time in the setup phase, compiling lists from multiple sources, merging and appending to get information such as emails, phones, and social media profiles, and then segmenting that list to make sure you're sending the right message to the right target at the right time. In this latest Vintory Learning Studio session, you'll learn the tips and tricks we've learned over the years of how you can leverage data to increase your vacation rental inventory. We hope you enjoy it. All right, so today what we're going to cover is vacation rental target data and how you can leverage that to help you improve and increase your inventory. So here's what we're going to be going over today. First off, where can you get that data from? Next up, we're going to talk about what's the best way to merge the data, why segmentation is important. We're going to talk about appending and how to append and what it allows you to do. And then we're going to round it out with data visualization. So let's get started. So first off, where can you get target data? And there's tons of different sources. The first one would be list brokers, right? So there's tons of them out there. There's companies such as Exact Data, there's Info USA, there's hundreds of others out there. But the key is what you want to look for is absentee owner data. So absentee owner data is data where the property address and the mailing address are different. And usually this is a good indicator that it's either their second home or their real estate investor. Next up is public data sources. So many states have ways of pulling public data straight from the internet, and that's free. Now, some states it's super easy and you can compile and pull tons of data. Others it's a little bit more challenging. You can only do it kind of record by record. And if that's the case, sometimes it's easier just to get it straight from a list broker. Next up, another source is MLS. So if you're a realtor and you have access to MLS, there's some listing services out there where you actually have the ability to pull those tax records straight from that listing service. Now, vacation rental permit data. So some markets, due to the Freedom of Information Act, you actually have the ability to request vacation rental permit data. This data is super valuable. And lastly, there are some people or services that actually allow you to scrape data from OTAs, or in some cases, even other competitors' websites. This is where you can actually get target data from. All right. So now that you have all this data, what do you do with it? So at Vintory, we actually have 2 data analysts to merge, deduplicate all that data into one nice clean data file. So this gives you this nice, neat, clean database that you really can use as your foundation. Now, many companies don't have access to a data analyst, so, where can you find that? So we've had luck in the past of using some of these freelance sites such as Upwork or even Fiverr, and there's tons of people out there that can actually help you with this. All right, so we recommend segmenting your target list, and there's a couple ways to segment. So first up, we're going to talk about segmenting your list based on your ideal customer profile or ICP. So we segment our ICP by A targets, B targets, and C targets. Now, many people think that these are sorted by the highest revenue generators, so the highest, gross booking revenue. Well, that is often the case. It's not always. Some cases, you may have a niche. Maybe your niche is, very specific communities or condo buildings or certain style homes. So we usually recommend hitting these A targets in a high volume cadence, like monthly. And your B targets we usually recommend hitting on a quarterly cadence. And then your C targets we recommend usually hitting once, maybe twice a year. But you can also do this by segmentation of the marketing campaigns as well. So if you can see in this campaign, in this example, we actually are running all of our campaigns on our A targets, but only direct mail and email for our C targets. So it's not just about the cadence of it, but actually which campaigns you're running directly to them. We also recommend segmenting by persona. So, why is this important? because different personas have different pain points, right? And you can change up your messaging to each one of those personas based on those pain points. For example, our messaging to RBO Ruby here is going to be much different than it is going to be to competitor Chris or to first time Fords. Now, the custom messaging based on persona is ultimately going to improve your response rates on these campaigns, thus netting you more deals in the end. So here's an example of a database we set up for one of our partners, and you can see how we segmented by their ICP target and also by persona. Now, if you do it this way, it's super easy to manage and run your campaigns in the future. Now we're going to talk about appending data sources. So appending means, adding additional contact methods to each target record. So you can append by mailing address. You can append by, let's say, email and cell phones. So why is this important? So, now you can market to your target with this omni-channel marketing approach versus just sending out one, postcard per year. So that means you can hit them with direct mail, you can hit them with email, possibly even text messaging. You can do, which I think is a game changer, which we call it's called list-based retargeting on all those social channels if you have that information. So hitting them in this omni-channel approach is much more effective than just sending out one postcard per year. But the only way you can do that is actually by appending those data sources. So who can actually do this data appending? Usually your list broker has a capability of doing it, and then if they don't, they can actually recommend different services out there. All right, now we're going to talk about data visualization. So data visualization is an underutilized tool. So leveraging tools such as Batch Geo or My Google Maps, these are great ways of seeing your targets on a map versus just a spreadsheet. So why is this important? So it allows you to see outliers or anomalies, right? And you can do this not only on the property address level, but you can also do it with the target's mailing address or their home address. If let's just say you see a high percentage of your targets live full-time in some very specific cities or zip codes, this will help you when you're running your pay-per-click campaign, so you can leverage it by actually listing those specific areas in your pay-per-click campaigns. I've even heard a story of a very successful vacation rental manager that used data visualization program like this and found out that many of their targets lived in a very specific area in Ohio. And this was over 800 miles away from their market. So they actually went up there, they hosted an information session and happy hour in that town, marketed it heavily to everybody, and they got a lot of people that actually came out to this information session, and they actually ended up signing up several owners directly from that event. So this just shows the power of data visualization and how you can leverage it to improve your vacation rental inventory. All right, so in summary, we talked about, where you can get your data. You can get it from list brokers, you can get it from public records, you can get it from MLS, vacation rental permit data is out there, or you can even hire someone to do data scrapes on the OTAs. We also talked about merging, right? So you can hire someone from Upwork or Fiverr to merge that data. We also talked about segmentation, so segment that list by targets. We talked about your ICP, your ideal customer profile, and those personas. We also talked about appending, right? So leveraging appending services to get mailing addresses, email addresses, cell phones, so that you can run that omni-channel marketing campaigns directly to them. And then we also talked about data visualization, so leveraging tools such as Batch Geo or My Google Maps to help you visualize where those targets are, both their actual property addresses and also their home addresses. Now remember, the foundation of great inventory acquisition strategy all starts with data. Without a solid data file, it doesn't matter how good your marketing efforts are, because they just won't be effective if they don't hit the right target. But with a solid data file that's merged and appended correctly, it'll make all the marketing efforts that much more effective. So I'd like to thank everybody for watching. A little background about Vintory. Vintory is a sales and marketing agency and technology platform that's designed to help vacation rental managers grow their inventory. If you're interested in learning more about Vintory, please feel free to email me at brooke@vintory.com, or you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or LinkedIn, and we hope to see you in future episodes. Thanks.